Roger Fortson's story began with great promise but ended in tragedy, sparking nationwide outrage and controversy. From a young age, he was known for his kindness and protective nature, traits that defined him throughout his short life. On the afternoon of May 3rd, everything changed in an instant. While on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend, an officer stormed into his home and, without saying a word, opened fire. The shocking nature of this event has left many searching for answers, and in this video we will break down exactly what happened, examine the facts, and explore both sides of the case. We'll also be sharing crucial body camera footage from Officer Duran that could hold the key to understanding the truth. Before we get into the details, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video to help spread awareness. Let's dive in. Roger Fortson came into the world on April 15, 2001, as the third of 5 siblings in Atlanta. Growing up, his natural talents and strong family bonds became clear early on. At school, he was a standout student, known for his academic achievements and sharp intelligence. Though, like many teens, he was uncertain about his future, his impressive results on the ASVAB test paved the way for a life-changing journey into the military. Roger joined the Air Force in November 2019, just a few months after graduating with honors from Ronald McNair High School in Hudson County. From the very start, his superiors noticed his ability, not only due to his technical skills, but also for his kind nature and his aptitude for excelling in difficult situations. He was assigned to the 4th Special Operations Squadron, where he took on the role of Special Missions Aviator, a demanding position that required both skill and courage. His job involved loading the guns on gunships during critical missions, and his dream was to one day become a pilot. By the age of 22, he had already been deployed to conflict zones such as Iraq and Syria, participating in special missions that earned him a medal with a combat device in 2023. This recognition was uncommon for someone of his rank and experience, as it was only awarded to those who demonstrated bravery or exceptional achievements in high-risk missions. On one of these missions, Roger showcased his ability to perform under pressure, managing an in-flight emergency that allowed the operation to continue and safeguarded the lives of his fellow crew members. As he continued to receive praise, he never stopped thinking about his family, whom he always helped and supported, despite the distance. But Roger's promising path was abruptly cut short on the afternoon of the 3rd of May, 2024. A report from the Okaloosa County Police alerted to a disturbance at a residential complex around 4:30 p.m. 911 calls suggested a possible conflict in apartment 1401. Sheriff's Deputy Duran was dispatched to the scene and encountered a woman who claimed to have heard shouting and the sound of a slap coming from that apartment weeks earlier. Although no prior incidents had been reported in Fortson's unit, there had been disturbances in nearby apartments. Footage from Duran's body camera shows him approaching the apartment and remaining silent for about 20 seconds, listening. However, no sounds were heard from within. He knocked on the door but did not identify himself, taking up a position about 5 meters from the entrance, concerned that someone might shoot through the door or push him towards the railing, which led to a 12-meter drop. After a few seconds, he knocked again, this time shouting. Sheriff's office opened the door, but he stepped aside from the door again. According to Duran, he heard a muffled voice cursing, which increased his concern. Meanwhile, inside the apartment, the situation was quite different from what Duran imagined.
Sheriff's office, open the door! Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! 312, shots fired. Suspect down. Do not move! Sheriff's office, open the door! Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Do not move! Stop moving! Stop moving! Hang on, man. We got EMS coming for you. Don't move.
Fortson's girlfriend, who was with him at the time on FaceTime, stated that Roger was unaware of who was at the door. When he asked who it was, he got no answer. He told his girlfriend he wouldn't open the door because he wasn't expecting anyone and felt something was off. She confirmed that neither of them clearly heard Duran identify himself as law enforcement. The tension escalated when Roger, feeling threatened, decided to take his gun to protect himself. According to his girlfriend's statement, he told her he was going to grab his weapon because he didn't know who was on the other side. At that moment, Fortson opened the door with the gun in hand. Duran reacted quickly upon seeing the weapon and ordered Roger to step back, but just 2 seconds later, he fired several shots. Roger fell backwards, gravely wounded. Duran, visibly distressed, shouted, "Drop the gun," to which Fortson weakly replied, "It's over there," indicating the gun had fallen from his hand. The aftermath was tragic. Paramedics arrived quickly, but the severity of Roger's injuries made his transport to the hospital futile. The young aviator died shortly afterwards, leaving behind a series of unanswered questions and countless doubts about how a promising military career had ended so abruptly and violently. Okaloosa County Sheriff's deputies claimed that the officer involved had acted in self-defense while responding to a disturbance call at an apartment complex. As a result, he was placed on paid administrative leave. This decision sparked massive outrage online, with many expressing fury over the outcome. The situation also ignited a heated debate. Some believed that the mere presence of a firearm gave officers a license to act excessively, while others blamed the issue on police defunding campaigns, which they claimed forced law enforcement to hire anyone with a quick trigger. However, critics pointed out that such practices were nothing new. Roger had no criminal record, and there was no evidence that he was involved in the alleged domestic disturbance that prompted the police intervention at the complex. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office released the officer's body camera footage, as well as the 911 calls and reports. However, key information in these reports was redacted, and the agency refused to comment further on the officer involved or whether he had made a statement to investigators. They also denied claims that the officer had responded to the wrong apartment. Up to that point, no arrests had been made, nor had any apologies been offered. In this case, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement opened an investigation into the officer's conduct, but since it was still ongoing, they would not issue any comments until its conclusion. Meanwhile, Roger's family and community organized gatherings in his honor and held several press conferences to express their frustration. They hired civil rights lawyer Ben Crump to represent them in their pursuit of justice. According to his family and friends, Roger was one of the best examples of American patriotism. He was a Special Operations Airman in the United States Air Force, a young man who had graduated from high school in Atlanta, Georgia, and enlisted with the dream of becoming a pilot. He had always wanted to serve in the Air Force, and in doing so, he also sought to improve the lives of his mother, siblings, and family so that they could have a better chance of achieving the American dream. Roger's funeral took place on the 17th of May at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church and was attended by hundreds of people, including friends, family, teachers from his high school, and numerous airmen who came to pay tribute to him. The ceremony was described as a blue sea of the Air Force, and it was broadcast live across various air bases throughout the United States, as his fellow airmen mourned the loss of one of their own. During the funeral, Reverend Jamal Bryant summarized the general sentiment by saying, "Roger was better for America than America was for Roger." Days later, another memorial ceremony was held in a hangar at Herbert Field, where authorities presented Roger's family with the Air Force Commendation Medal, an award given to airmen distinguished by their achievements and meritorious service. However, to the officer who fired his weapon, Roger was not a decorated airman. The initial description of the person who called 911 mentioned an unfriendly and violent man in a domestic altercation, which likely shaped the officer's perception of who would be on the other side of the door in Unit 1401. When he saw an African-American man with a gun in hand, all he seemed to see was a supposed criminal who, in his judgment, needed to be eliminated. Local authorities initially insisted that Roger was holding a firearm when he opened the door, justifying the shooting as a clear act of self-defense by an officer who had to make a life-or-death decision in a matter of seconds. For the 27 days following the shooting, authorities conveniently withheld the officer's identity, claiming that their priority was to ensure his safety. Many have pointed out that officers, regardless of their race, have been trained to be more cautious and aggressive when interacting with minorities, which demonstrates a troubling bias in law enforcement. Finally, in a report published on May 31, 2024, The sheriff's department revealed the identity of the officer involved, Eddie Duran, who had been officially dismissed after it was determined that Roger had not shown physical resistance and, according to the investigation, had not pointed his weapon at the officer. The report also included witness testimony stating that they had heard a man and a woman arguing in Unit 1401. One witness recounted that they did not personally know Roger but knew he was an airman because, on one occasion, they had accidentally walked up to his apartment door and saw him in uniform through the entry security camera. This witness believed that Roger was in a relationship because they had previously heard a female voice coming from his apartment, but they clarified that the arguments were usually light and occasional, nothing like what they heard on May 3rd, which led them to call the police. Another witness reported hearing a child in the apartment at some point, which raised concerns about their safety. When asked if they were certain there was a child, the witness claimed to have heard laughter and small footsteps, but acknowledged that they might have come from Roger's dog. Eddie Duran now faces charges for the fatal shooting of the young airman, with Deputy State Attorney Greg Marcel confirming that Duran is being charged with a first-degree felony, carrying a potential sentence of up to 30 years in prison. Although a trial date has not yet been set, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any updates on this tragic case, where a young life with a bright future was senselessly cut short. We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments and join the discussion. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more shocking cases like this one. Until next time.